And that is exactly why I do a test before we before we get started. So I don't think you could have heard me a second ago. So now I am officially saying hello. Brian Miller here. I believe I'm live on YouTube and Facebook at the exact same time. I've never gone live on Facebook like this before, and usually we keep this in the YouTube community here. So the second you hear this, go into the chat, go into the comments, say hello, let me know you're here, let me know that you can hear me and see me and that it's all good. Say hi to the others, introduce yourself, because I might have some of the Facebook folks commingling with the YouTube folks. And those are two worlds of my life that don't often get a chance to meet. The uh, the real reason that I'm doing this today is we're going to be talking about possibility and choosing yourself. So I'm going to use some really cool technology here, which is boom. Topic of the day is up on the screen, possibility and choosing yourself in the new world. I've been asked a lot lately. I've been on a million calls with folks, clients, and prospects, old friends, and colleagues in my industry and different industries. I've been going on a lot of different live streams. I was a guest on a live stream last week for a thought leader in education, talking about how I thought that the world of education is going to change this year and in the future. I see Memphis Mike is here from YouTube, loud and clear. Thank you very much for that feedback, Memphis Mike. So I was on that. I did a community live stream just for my local town with our first selectmen a couple of weeks ago about how families and as a community we can connect with each other better. But now that it's been kind of 4 or 5 weeks, we're getting to a point where the conversation is shifting from how are we going to handle this to, okay, we're in it, we're here, we're starting to get a sense of how long this could be and how deep it could go. And so the question is now becoming, what do we do with the new situation? And what I'm seeing a lot is people in one of two camps. We're in two completely different extremes, right? And I'm talking about business owners, entrepreneurs, freelancers. I'm talking about employees and managers and executives. I'm talking about community leaders and founders of nonprofits, right? Almost everybody you can think of is falling into one of two camps, and they're at the extremes. One is, okay, this is the new world. I've accepted it. I'm all in. How can I build something extraordinary in this new world given the new rules, right? How can I write the new rules? How can I write the rules of the new future? And then the other camp, which is probably 80% of the people who are just, curled up in a corner in fetal position. And they've been there for a month and they will be there 3 months from now and they will probably be there a year from now. And I think what we're seeing is the Pareto principle here, the 80-20 rule, just playing out, where 20% of the people are going to determine 80% of the future. And it might be even more extreme than that. It might be 10% of the people or 5% of the people will determine, 90 or 95% of our future. And so that's actually what I wanted to talk about today. I'm taking questions at any point about possibility, what we can do to leverage the unique situation that we're in, because there's no doubt it's bad, right? I mean, this is not a good situation. There's tragedy everywhere. There's horrific things going on. I've had terrible things happen within my own family. I know people who are deeply affected by all of this, but we all know how bad it is. I don't want to dwell on how bad it is right now. Instead, just like Guy Tech just said from YouTube, I'm all for positivity. That is what I want to talk about today. And again, Guy Tech, honestly, from the start of all this pandemic, I'm trying to focus on the positive. What I want to know from you and anybody listening, anybody watching right now is, what are you focusing on when it comes to the positive? What opportunities are you seeing in your business? You got to tell me in the chat, tell me in the comments, what industry are you in? What business are you in? Are you an owner, an employee, a teacher, educator, parent, community leader, volunteer, nonprofit? Tell me who you are and tell me what are you seeing as new possibilities for leveraging the time, because this is a time of great flux. I mean, this is a huge, huge monumental shift, and this is not going away in a month or two or three. In fact, I was just I was let's see here. I was just watching for the last hour a live stream. Inc.com did this fantastic live stream Q&A with Mark Cuban. I was on there. I'd say there's, I don't know how many of us, a couple hundred, maybe 1,000, but it didn't seem like it was a huge amount of people on the actual live chat. So it was wild to do a live stream Q&A with Mark Cuban of all people. And he echoed a few things that I've been saying for the last month. And I'm not saying that to go, I was right. I'm saying that to go, I've been saying this for a month. And you always, I believed I was right, but you always wonder, do I really have this right? And then when someone like Mark Cuban, as successful and smart as he is, echoed some of these sentiments right there on the live stream, it was just like confirmation that yes, like there is a chance to move forward here in a really exciting way. But the first major insight is he said this specifically. He said right at the beginning of the live stream, it won't be the way it was. It will be America 2.0. And you can expand that to it will be the world 2.0, right? Things are not going back to the way they were. They're simply not. A week or so ago, when I was on an educator's live stream talking about the future of education, and they were asking the same questions so many teachers and professors and educators and administrators have been asking, when are things going to get back to the way they were? They're not. But the question is, why do you want them to go back to the way they were? Because most people, oh, Guy Tech, you are currently a high school student. You took this opportunity to start and kick off your YouTube channel. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Now, we all recognize that everybody's in a different position, right? We like you've seen this meme start to go around Facebook that is absolutely true. We're all in this storm, but we're in lots of different boats, right? We're not all in the same boat. Some people, the reason people are getting so frustrated with celebrities making songs and memes and stuff is because the situation, yes, they're in the same storm we're in, but they are in a luxury boat with a lot of resources that many other people don't have. So yes, we all have a different boat. And if you're a parent with 4 young kids at home and you're trying to work from home and also manage 4 different aged kids all doing their schoolwork from home remotely all at the same time, you might not have the energy or the time to launch your blog or your YouTube channel like you've always wanted to. So let's all agree that everybody's got a different situation, but within that, there are so many opportunities to do something exciting, to do something new. And yesterday, I had this wonderful opportunity. I was invited onto a live stream show called The Naked Truth that is hosted by some really just terrific, exciting, innovative people. And the topic of the day was basically the collapse of the gig economy. That was the topic that I was given to come on and talk about, be a guest on for about half an hour. And the thing is, I said right away, I don't think the gig economy is collapsing. I just think it's changing. And then we spent half an hour, and it was, I don't want to sound like one of those older folks pretending to be hip and cool, but this conversation, it was lit. And I had to double check I was using that phrase right before I just said that. It was lit. This is a good conversation. I'm going to show you a 2-minute clip from that conversation on this live stream right now, and then we can talk about it. So put any questions you have into the chat, and while you watch this, and anybody, I can take up to 5 people who actually want to jump in, video in, and talk to me in person right here on the live. So I just threw a link into the chat. A couple of folks I'll accept to come in and have a live conversation. And I see, what do we have? Memphis Mike. Here we go. I've taken this time and learned how to live stream for the first time. Exactly. Doubling down on connections. That's what we're going to be talking about. And I've also dived deeper into Final Cut Pro and sharpening my editing skills, using your time to develop not just any skills, but skills that are becoming infinitely more valuable in a world that went totally virtual. And we just had a question: collapse of the what and what now? The collapse of the gig economy, the economy of freelancers and folks who do who basically work for one client at a time, which is we've been told for many years we are the backbone of the economy, and yet of course when the economy collapses, it's not us that get bailed out, right? There's been virtually no help given to the probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of freelancers and gig economy workers who were just wiped out overnight, who don't have the ability to just work from home and get paid by an employer, right? So that's what we are talking about on this live stream. Listen to this 2-minute clip. Watch this 2-minute clip from the live stream I did yesterday with Ifat Cohen and Paul Ramsey, and then you can enjoy. Let's see. Oh, I just want to hang on. I want to make sure that this is actually going to include the audio. So, and here we go.
You were actively going out and pursuing clients and saying, hey, I'm here to help. What can I help you with? And then he just came back and said, this is what I need help with? Or did you have a plan or something that you suggested?
Yeah, so it was kind of a combination of the two. Before I even reached out to him, in my mind, I had 3 different topics, 3 different things that I thought, given who he was, his team, his organization, what they might need help with. And the first thought I had was, your team's about to start working from home for the first time ever, and you're going to need communication. I mean, I'm a human connection specialist. That's what I do. So here's the process I've been talking through, because I'm doing a lot of coaching and consulting lately. And this is the process I'm talking everybody through. Is the wrong way to approach the pivot is, how do I take what I've always done and shove it into the virtual world, right? That is what most people are doing. And Paul, you and I have seen a lot of bad live stream magic shows lately. And that's because most magicians are shoving a camera 10 feet away from them, standing up and doing their magic show the way they always did it. And that is the wrong approach. The right approach is, how do you take, virtual world. So think about what that world is. What are the tools and technologies that exist in this world? Okay, now we're gonna take a step back and go, what plays well? What does the tools and technology of the virtual world, what is the best fit? What really takes advantage of the power of this medium in a way that we used to take advantage of a live stage or a live environment or whatever your business is? Okay, now one step back, what fits within what I already do, my expertise, the way that people trust me, right? Whatever my business is, what do I do that can take advantage of the best stuff from the virtual world that fits into the virtual world naturally? So the first thing I did was I scrapped my keynote. I've been a keynoter for almost 5 years, giving some version of the same speech all over the world, killing it. Yeah. Nothing about that keynote makes sense in the virtual world. Me giving a keynote speech, an inspirational, go get 'em 45 minutes, I can record that once and let people watch it on YouTube. That doesn't make sense here.
Hallelujah. So Wait, I have to say that. Like, hallelujah, thank you for saying that.
So, okay, that is what we were talking about yesterday in this great live stream that they're doing over there, the Naked Truth, which I think everybody should go check out. They're doing this daily, 5 days a week at I think 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and having a different guest on all the time. I'm going back on their show maybe in a week or two to talk more specifically about the social isolation and kind of the human connection strategies that we can use with the loneliness epidemic now being compounded by this social distancing and kind of isolation. So I'm happy to hang on the live stream now for the next about 15 minutes maybe. We're just going to do a tight half hour here and take any questions you have about your work, whether you have your own business, you're an entrepreneur, you might be a teacher, you might work for somebody else, but how you can pivot what you're doing. We can walk through, all the different ways that you can modify what you used to do and do something new that's related to what you used to do, but do something new that actually takes advantage of the opportunity that we have here. And like I said, again, anybody is welcome to toss that URL into their browser and go ahead and jump in on a live video with me. right now if you'd like to, or you can just toss your comments into the chat. And while I'm waiting for a few folks to jump in to ask questions, I'm going to show you a magic trick because I found this fantastic trick while I was going through while I was going through old boxes. That's one of the things I've been doing with my quarantine is going through old boxes of stuff my folks had sent me and I just buried in the basement, stuff from my childhood. And so I found a kid's version of a magic trick that is basically when you're a kid, you get into magic and you want to do grand illusion like you see on TV, the magicians like David Copperfield and Chris Angel, and they have these big boxes and fancy lights and smoke and mirrors and and you want to be like that, but you can't. You don't have the props, you don't have the money, and so they make like small scale illusions that of course kids can learn. And I found this and realized this fooled me as a kid and it fools just as badly as an adult, which is amazing. So watch what happens here. We take the card. Oh, by the way, look at this. I actually, when I was a kid, I wrote my name on this. I can't believe it's still there. So we take the card, and just like a stage illusion, we put the volunteer into the box. We put the volunteer into the box. And now all we have to do is wave, snap our fingers, and we can split the volunteer into 3 equal pieces. Now, what's hysterical about this is that it fools you when you're a kid and it fools you as an adult. I mean, this is an incredible illusion. It's hysterical how good this is. Now, of course, we can bring the king back together. We can give a little snap, a little wave, and just like that, the king emerges totally unharmed. How cool is that? Okay, so that gave me a little bit of time for some folks to pop in here, and I see Memphis Mike, thank you for participating in this. Can you see public education working towards an online curriculum, meaning the 1 to 12 grade years? You know, I can sort of, and I've been talking with a lot of my friends and colleagues and clients in education about this. And let me see if I can actually, I did not warn my buddy Adam, who is a public school art teacher, and many of you on YouTube know who he is. In fact, many of you on Facebook probably do as well. I didn't warn him I'd be doing this. Let me see if there's any chance I can actually get him on here if he's free in the middle of this. Jump in right now. I need you. I'm live on Facebook and YouTube, and people are asking about education going virtual. We'll see if Adam actually manages to jump in on that. But again, so here's the question from Memphis Mike. Can you see public education working towards an online curriculum, meaning the 1 to 12 grade years? So, okay, so yes and no. Adam's coming in. Adam is coming in. So my answer to that, I'm going to start answering this while Adam jumps in here in a second, which is there are aspects of grades 1 through 12 of kind of the standard public education system that I believe can be virtual and will be virtual. What I imagine we are going to see is a much reduced system where maybe 1 or 2 days a week your kid goes into a physical classroom, which are going to have much smaller sizes because we don't need all 600, 800, 1,000 kids in the building at the same time anymore. So maybe you have Mondays and Wednesdays your kid goes into the classroom. Now this is spitballing. I don't know anything. I'm not an educator or administrator. I'm not involved at that level to make these decisions. This is just me, my opinion from the outside. I can see a world where 1 or 2 days a week, maybe Mondays, Wednesdays, your kid has, some other kids have Tuesdays, Thursdays, whatever, goes in, and instead of having 30 kids or 25 kids in a room, you only have 5 or 6 kids, and they get to spread out a little bit. And they use that time, those 2 days a week, to get the socialization, the stuff that you really can't get virtually. That there's just some things that happen when people are physically sharing the space together that you just can't get. And that's not the kind of stuff. Oh, here we go. Adam is jumping in right now with
Oh,
Fred. Look at this.
yeah. I'm on daddy duty right now as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, Adam, Memphis Mike I'm on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So worlds are colliding. Worlds are
Oh,
colliding.
great.
I've never done that before, which is why I'm wearing what I would normally wear on YouTube, but what I would normally wear on Facebook over it to try to blend both of my
One world.
audiences.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe of platforms.
So, okay. So the big question right now, we're talking about public education, and you and I have talked a lot about this. I was just describing what I felt might happen in terms of virtual education for the grades 1 through 12. Talking about how I've said to you, I think maybe 1 or 2 days a week, Monday and Wednesday maybe, your kid goes in and other kids go in Tuesdays and Thursdays. So not everybody's in the school at the same time. Each classroom, when you go in 2 days a week, has only 10 kids or 8 kids in the room, spread out a little bit, and we use that time to do the socialization, not the memorizing, not the testing, the socialization stuff that, even if you're not physically interacting with each other, is the stuff that you just need to physically be sharing an environment to really get. And
Yeah.
the rest of the time, the testing, the memorization, the regurgitation stuff, we can do that virtually. As a public school teacher, now you're an art teacher, which makes this interestingly
Yeah.
different than maybe a math teacher would respond or a history teacher. But how do you feel about this? Hi, Fred.
No, I think a lot of that sounds like not a bad idea to do, because you're right. The most important part of it is having that sense of community, which is a huge part of the kid's development, and I might even say it's most part of the student's development by far. Yeah. What was that other point you were saying about it?
So I was saying that I think 1 or 2 days a week, you go in, kind of have your social, like get the social stuff, and then the rest of the time virtually, 3
Yeah.
days a week worth of work can be done virtually, because that's the memorization, that's the regurgitation stuff that
Yeah.
I know.
Well, the thing is, the testing isn't as easy as it sounds as well, too, because that's one thing that I think some teachers are having trouble with, is because in order to assess a student, you have to be sure, when they're at home, you don't know how much parental involvement is happening. And in some cases, again, I'm not speaking in any way on behalf of my district, but, you don't know if some parents are, how much help they're getting, or if they're even, maybe some parts even doing it for them. So that would be some part of why they would need to come in as well to do some of the more formal testing. The term that has been used forever is kind of like a flipped classroom. That's where a lot of the information is learned at home. They're sent links, videos, given books. They do a lot of that prep at home, and then they come in to implement it, which is kind of what college has been using virtually forever. You're supposed to read the passage before you come into talking about it in college, and it's just a matter of figuring that out for an elementary level. I don't think middle school and high school would have too much problems with this.
Yeah.
Because, one thing that I was talking about with my other buddy is because middle school and high schoolers, so here's the thing, digital media, everyone can absorb it. They can watch it, they know how to watch it, they know how to get the information out of a video. But the hard thing is being able to get that video in front of the kids. Middle schoolers can navigate a computer very easily. So can a high schooler. Obviously, going up from there, it's no problem. But when you're in kindergarten, when you're in first grade, second grade, those grades, they have to have someone kind of put that in front of them and say, it's time to do this now. So it's a matter of allowing that to happen in a way that hopefully isn't too intrusive to the parents too. Because parents, that's the magical thing forever. Like, a big part of a student's success is can be contingent on their home environment. But that being said, goes with the same kind of problem I was saying before about maybe being over involved in it as well, because they do have to be independent learners as well. There's not always going to be someone there for them to get them through, because in a way it's more one-on-one when they're at home, because when they're in a classroom, depending on the situation of the classroom, there may be one teacher and 24 students, and in a given subject that maybe they only have 40 minutes or half hour to work on, how much personal one-on-one time can they have in the classroom versus when they're home with their family?
So you don't know personally, but you know Morgane Michael, the Canadian elementary school teacher who runs the incredible podcast Kindsight 101. I've been on it. I think you're in contact with her, or I've tried to hook you guys up to do that as well. She and I were doing an addendum the other day because I had recorded her for my podcast months ago before this, and we had this amazing conversation that when I was listening back, I was just like, it's all good stuff, but it just feels anachronistic. It feels like we're talking about some distant world now.
Yeah.
And so we got on last week on a quick video chat to do an addendum to that episode, which is going out, I think, just to the subscribers, the community, the email subscribers of the podcast. But the point is that she's an elementary school teacher, and we were talking about that, and she was saying, on one hand, it's very difficult, right? Because of everything you're describing as a teacher. And she's got kids at home. So she's also a mom with kids at home doing virtual, and she's a teacher doing the other side of it for other kids at the same time, which is bananas, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things that she was saying is that she's seen her kids how much they light up when they even just get a 1-minute video from their teacher that directly addresses them, right? And says, hey, Fred, great job on that art project you did for me the other day. I loved that squiggle you did in the upper right corner. Keep it up and whatever. She said her kids light up when they get this direct message. And
I mean, and that, just to pop in quick, that's nothing new. I mean, that's a technique that YouTubers and stuff have been using forever. It's shout outs. And to kids, especially kids who grew up with that medium, like I've said this before too, like when we were kids, celebrities were Jim Carrey and Robin Williams. To kids now, they don't care who the actors are in movies. They care about like who their favorite YouTuber is. And in this world, all of a sudden, their teachers are kind of becoming YouTube, or at least using that same video format and talking to them personally, which is something they've always kind of desired because of the medium that they absorb.
Absolutely. So, Adam, you can see Kelsey, what she just popped in here. Kelsey, great to see you. Kelsey's in a mastermind group that I've been in with her for about the last year. This great group. Kelsey said this. Well, the live stream looks awesome. Thank you. I can't take credit. I'll credit the software, but thank you. I've been working with teachers in a low-income district, and the main problems have nothing to do with education right now. It's the 20% participation. Yeah, and I think that aspect, thank you for bringing this up, Kelsey, that aspect of so many of these conversations, not just in education, is getting lost right now, which is why, Adam, you weren't in here, but at the beginning of this live stream, one of the things I addressed right away was this idea you're starting to hear people say, which is, yeah, we're all in the same storm, but we're not all in the same boat, right? This is one storm that is affecting everyone. There's no one who's not affected, but depending on the boat you're in, you're affected very differently, right? If you're on a luxury yacht, you're different than if you're on like the Titanic, plank board floating in the ocean right now by yourself. And so I'm guessing, especially when I talk about all this possibility and the opportunity and the silver lining in this situation, of course, that's all contingent on the situation you were in before this started, right? Not that there isn't still possibility for everybody, but the energy, the time, the resources you have to approach it are very, very different. Do you have any thoughts? Because you work in a relatively affluent school district. Do you have any thoughts on what we do in a less well-off school district where that's a very different situation?
Sure. I worked in a Title I school district as well, Title I building, as well as even within my district there is a Title I school as well. And it's kind of exactly what you just said, in that their economic standpoint aside, it just affects everyone differently. Because like if a family who actually has a loved one who maybe has the virus, they're not worried at all about schooling, And it's really just making sure, I think as teachers, we just have to make everything available and hopefully not put too much pressure on them, because last thing we want to be, everyone's stressed out with what's going on. Last thing we want to do is put more stress on somebody. Okay. Obviously follow the guidelines of whatever your district is asking you to do. But like, again, and again, that's where one little benefit that I have as being the art teacher is that I think there is automatically a little less pressure to do it. And also hopefully doing my project is a little bit more of an outlet than like a core subject can be. So yeah, that's definitely what I would say. And one thing I'd say too, in the Title I school that I worked before this, I found a lot of those kids tend to be even more computer savvy as far as being able to explore YouTube videos and things like that. So if you're using that type of format in order to reach these students, if it's public videos, there's a very good chance that they'll be able to stumble across them all on their own much easier.
Yeah, so we just got another question that came in from Memphis Mike, and I really appreciate it, Mike, all the engagement here. My son is in engineering school, which is virtual right now, and the class got back their test scores. The average grade was 38. How effective virtual classes? I'm going to take this one first a little bit here. And this is, Adam, a conversation you and I have had a lot lately, which is the difference between education and learning. And the problem right now is that education is an industrial creation. It was created 150 years ago. It made sense in a different, I know I'm a broken record. I've talked about this many, many times, and I'm not the first person by all means who's ever said this. It is not my insight, but it's an insight that I've taken and really run with, and I think about it all the time, which is education is a formal institution, an institution that died a month ago. I mean, the institution that the formal way that we've gone into the building and sat in rows and done the tests and gotten our grades, that's just got wiped out. Maybe that'll come back someday. I hope it doesn't. I hope it changes dramatically from what it was, right? But in the meantime, let's say it does come back 6 months from now. For the next 6 months, that's not what we're doing. So the question is, how do we do learning? How do we do real teaching, not education? How do we teach, and what do we teach, right? What do they need to learn? Because the engineering thing, my question would be, what did they get a 38 on? Was it a memorization and regurgitation of facts? Because one, we are all overtaxed right now. Our brains are not going to memorize and regurgitate facts right now. There is no person on planet Earth was emotionally prepared for the weight of this situation. We are not built for what just happened, right? So memorization, regurgitating facts is not something you can just expect people to be able to do, because mostly the students are going to be staring at this test going, this doesn't matter right now, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to know this, and your brain knows you don't need to know this right now.
Go ahead. What I'm just going to say is what we need to focus on that's most important right now is teaching people how to learn. That's really the core thing. And one example I'll even give is like what you're doing right now, this live streaming thing. You did not take a class on live streaming, but you have been taught in a way where you know how to find information and how you absorb it. So, and then that's what we need to teach kids now, and that's what we've always should, and most of us I think try to do, is to teach kids that. But yeah, if we teach them how to learn, then they'll learn whatever they need to, whenever they need to.
Okay, so absolutely yes to that. And by the way, Kelsey says, thanks, guys. Great advice. Thank you, Kelsey, for being here. Appreciate it. The what I want to add to that is, so first, yes, how to learn, right? Which is why, actually, folks who, like, if you're a college student and you're studying philosophy and you got thrown into this, you'll be fine. Because what philosophers learn, what philosophy students learn, is how to ask questions, right? How to ask the right questions, how to think through problems. The answers aren't important, really. That's what philosophers mostly learn, is it's not about the answers, right? And I think we all need, and philosophy is where all formal education thousands of years ago was built out of in the first place, was the ability to ask interesting questions, right? And follow thought processes down a rabbit hole. And yes, that leads to more questions, but that's the point. Right? So when I learned how to live stream by asking a question, which was, how do I get this information How do I achieve this connection with an audience? How do I reach a group of people and have these conversations in a world where I'm stuck in my house? And so ask that question first. Not how do I take the thing I used to get paid to do and shove it into the virtual world? That's the wrong question. The right question is how do I achieve my goals in a way that makes sense in this new
Yeah.
world? And that's what leads you down the right path.
Yeah, I think trying to maybe format things, because I think the best way to teach how to learn too is kind of like the research project model, where they come up with a question and then they do research and then they try to answer that type of question. And if we can, and I'm sure it's been done before. Again, I've never had to do it quite with the kind of teaching that I do, but if we can find a really great digital model for that can work in video, I think we kind of have the answer there, and especially being able to take that model and apply that to younger kids. Because imagine that type of digital model in a first grade classroom or in a second grade classroom. I think that would be effective.
Yeah, that's absolutely totally agreed to all that. And then I think the next question after, okay, first we need to teach students how to learn, right? So after that, then it's what should they be learning right now? Like what should they actually be learning? And we've already discussed, and I think it's hard to argue right now that they don't need to be memorizing facts and regurg. Google exists at your fingertips. This has been antiquated for a while. We don't need to memorize stuff anymore because you can recall it in an instant. So our brains have been freed of thousands of years of needing to be able to instantly recall information because the computer can do that better and faster and smarter than you can. So in this new era where we have an opportunity to reinvent education for the next 6 months, what do they actually need to learn? Well, what students, as far as I'm concerned, what young people need to learn, resilience, emotional intelligence, adaptability, right? These are the kindness, right? Empathy. These are the skills that are actually valuable in a world where the facts, the stuff the hard skills are available at your fingertips, and an AI is starting to be able to do better than you can, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Because no, you're absolutely right. I think that goes back to, it kind of ties into what we were just talking about too. So it's more about learning process than it is the product. It's not a matter of, oh, look at all these things I memorize. It's again, being able to gather that information in the same way we were just talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, and Kelsey just said teaching how to learn and digital literacy has been. And Kelsey's a freelance videographer who now not being able to go out and do video work is what we've been working on in this mastermind for the last month. What Kelsey's been working through is how do I now still achieve my aim as a freelance videographer. I can't go out and shoot the videos for people. So her pivot right away and has been just really successful immediately was she's working with, and Kelsey, hopefully it's okay that I'm kind of explaining this, but you've been very public about it on your pages. So what her pivot was, instead of being able to go out and do the video work for people, she's teaching them how to get the highest quality video for themselves, how to design, how to get the right equipment and set it up in the right way and position themselves and how to be comfortable on camera. And then once she's taught them how to do that, then they can send her the files and she can do the magic. She can do the editing and all that stuff.
You know what? And it's so funny too, because I think this ties back into at least when I first came into this chat with like I was saying, if those clients wanted to just learn this information, it's already on the internet. They don't necessarily need her to teach that. However, why it's such a benefit that she can do that is that same thing you mentioned about the teacher calling up the student and saying their name. It's that personal connection that she can add to it that makes it very comfortable for a lot of people. The fact that they can ask a question directly to them, and even if they don't ask the questions, the comfort in knowing they can, if they need to, just says a ton. And that's where people get their value. So, and that's something that she can do with this model. And actually, you know what? Does she have a public YouTube channel teaching this stuff as well?
Yeah, she just started we've all been helping her in this mastermind group. We've been helping her for the last month, build towards all this stuff that she's been working on for a long time. Kind of this was just like so many of us, for Kelsey, I think, and for so many people, for me, this was the kick that I needed. For years, you've heard me privately behind the scenes talk about rolling out virtual programs and being able to travel less so I can spend more time at home with my family and not have to, I'm tired of being on the road. I just couldn't get around to it because I was always too busy. And then everything got wiped out. And I was just like, well, if not now, when? Right?
Yeah.
So this, I mean,
No,
this
because
is it.
that we were lucky for. We were ahead of the curve, but we didn't even know it. And that we,
Yeah.
even though you didn't have a digital platform, not platform, sorry, digital like classes
Services, yeah.
I'm sorry, yes. You didn't have digital services like you have now. However, we've been doing this digital media production for so long that it was such an easy transition for whatever we're doing. Like even my art lessons that I'm doing for my students now, I didn't have to learn how to film myself first. I was just, this is how I'm teaching now. And that's one thing I think about education in the future. I think we talked about this the other day privately, is that when I first started education, one of my professors said that if you're shy, you're not going to make it as a teacher, because you have to be in front of a group of people and you have to have those kind of personal skills. You can't be nervous about that. And I think going into the future like we are now, it's going to be the same thing for being on camera and being able to produce educational videos. That's going to become part of being a teacher.
And being able to manage a baby on your lap who is getting a little tired of the live stream while delivering. Yeah.
This would just pick that up.
Yeah, I love I just love that you are such a pro at doing video work that you weren't even, you're just instinctively, you were dealing with her without breaking you didn't break concentration on that message you were delivering right to the camera.
Hashtag dad life. Yeah,
but this is so true, which is that the skills, no matter what field you're in, fields you never would have imagined that you would need to be on camera. Suddenly you have to be on camera.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of teachers right now who are frustrated because maybe, again, my district isn't doing this, but maybe there are districts out there that are saying you have to start making videos for your students. And there are probably some teachers that are like, you know what, I'm not comfortable doing that. That's not why I became a teacher, Yeah. And, we have to, it's all about the kids. We have to produce something for the kids no matter what. Okay. And like I was saying before, chances are that it's going to be the future. And maybe it's just during this pandemic time now, but the reality is, and we both know it, in 15, 20 years, again, it was all going to be like that anyway. This pandemic just gave it an adrenaline shot.
Absolutely. It really, this was coming. It was coming over the next 10 years. Slowly, it was rolling into every single industry you can imagine. And one of those industries just had to do it in basically 24 hours. They had to learn.
And you know what? I think elementary teachers thought they were the safest, because I think we all knew that college was going to go there. And, it makes sense that it could work in high school. And I think some people might push back on me a little bit, but I think it's even possible in middle school. But I think elementary, there's you need that hands-on personal touch and the kids having more of a sense of community and learning from each other in person. But I mean, this is the curveball we were thrown. What if that's not an option? What do you do? Because you can't do nothing.
Yeah, well, you can, and this is, you can do nothing.
Not if you want to keep your job.
Right, well, not if you want to keep your job, exactly. And I think that's the hardest thing for people, is they're going, but I was really good at what I did. It's like, and you were. And it's very sad that you don't get to do that anymore, but you don't get to do that anymore. So now you have to be good at a new thing. And you don't have to be good immediately.
I was the best print press person in the industry. It's like, well, we don't use the printer press anymore.
Right. All right, we got Kelsey, and how cool is this?
Hey, this is awesome.
Welcome. Meet Adam officially.
Hello.
Hey, Adam, it's great to meet you.
And it's very...
I need to close YouTube. It was playing you guys.
We have all done that. We have all done that with this. And you could see when that happens, there's a 20 to 30 second delay which is amazing because that means that's why sometimes when you watch anybody on like especially with this platform, you'll see me say, hey, in a little while, I'm going to need someone to answer this question. Go in and answer now. And then I start talking for a while because I know it's going to be 20 seconds to YouTube and 20 seconds back before someone answers. Yeah.
Yeah. And not to mention the time it takes to think of something and then type it in.
Yeah. Yeah, that became really interesting on this virtual magic show I did last night. Somebody name a card. Talk for a minute. Yeah. Okay, 2 tricks from now, I'm going to need somebody to name a card. That's what I started doing.
That's right.
So, Kelsey, what's up? How? Thanks so much for joining in on this. And I know that you actually wanted to kind of test a little bit of this live stream stuff, so I'm great you got to jump in.
I literally just jumped on. I didn't have my microphone set up or anything. I was planning on going to do something and then doing some videos this afternoon. And I just happened to see on my phone, it said you were live. And I was like, what? He's doing something live. And so I just had to check it out. So, and your topic is so relevant to what I'm working with right now that I really appreciate it. You guys have really awesome insights, of course. So it's nice to finally meet you, Adam. I've heard a lot about you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, nice to. Yeah, it sounds really cool what you're doing. I'm glad that seems like it's working out for you.
Yeah, it really is. My YouTube channel has 14 subscribers, but that wasn't really mine. I've been working directly with the teachers. I haven't been pushing like subscribe or anything like that. I think I'm just taking it day by day and providing the content, and then I'll focus on building it up later is kind of what I'm thinking, because I'm afraid I'll spend too much time on the not important stuff and then have nothing to share with people.
Well, I'm curious as to what made you think to do this. Was it a need that they asked you for, or did you just think of it and be like, hey, I should see if people want this?
It was kind of a combination. A lot of it was from our mastermind group that I did with Brian. They kept encouraging me to do something with YouTube, and I just couldn't quite figure out what that might be. And then when this hit, I had a lot of text and messages that said, hey, Kelsey, how do I do this? How do I do this? And it got my brain thinking, well, what if I create videos so I'm not spending all my time messaging people that know me, that are teachers, asking how to do things? So obviously I saw the need was there. Yeah. And so I'm just hoping I can build something up where I can help more teachers and not have to do it all like one-on-one. But I also am wanting to look, and I can help more people one-on-one if they need it through Zoom and stuff like that too.
So the beauty of that, so first of all, you have 14, you said I only have 14 subscribers, but that's 14 more than you had a month ago, for what it's worth, or 2 weeks ago, which is, by the way, going from 0 to 14, because I have a math degree that I don't use, right? Going from 0 to 14 is an infinite increase, just for the record. So you cannot measure that increase. It's off the charts, literally. So that's great. And as I talk about with people all the time, and you know, we all know this, but it's hard to remember, which is, it doesn't matter how many people you have as long as it's the right people, right? Because if all 14 of those people tried to hire you today, you couldn't take all that work. You couldn't even do it if all 14 tried to hire you. So you don't need 14,000. And so that's the first thing. But the second thing is, I love what you just outlined, which is this great path that you went down, which is, okay, a whole bunch of people have, been texting me and asking me questions, and I want to be generous. I want to be helpful, but I can't burn out 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, all day, every day, answering every individual's questions. And they're all asking the same questions. Mm-hmm. So what you get to do in the virtual world, and maybe, Adam, this goes back to the education thing here of how you run a classroom virtually, which is, you make a video that answers the questions everybody was going to have, that were the universal questions. And then the people who want or need deeper insight, more specific, more personalized, based on what they just learned from that video, they're the ones you go work with one-on-one. And now you don't have to deal with all that you don't have to have the same conversation over and over and over again.
It's really great.
Yeah.
That's what I'm working more. I'm working with a video production class. So I'm teaching them how to make video, and we're using video to teach them how to make video. So it's kind of a meta thing, but that's what we're like going through this whole process with the also idea of like, how can we in the fall, like say if we go back to school in the fall or next spring, how can we have stuff set up where they can use that? As I think Adam said too, I always had this idea that we should be not doing lecturing and learning content in the classroom, especially with a hands-on class like video production. They should have that coming in. These videos they should see a video I made. Okay, I understand this lighting concept. I come in, use the lights and do it, not spend half your class time talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, to a certain extent, Adam, I wonder how that translates to what you're doing. If, do we really need to spend half of the classroom time with you making the art thing, or, actually creating the project in front of them? Or can you film yourself doing it, give it to people in advance, and now you don't need an hour of your students' time. You need 20 minutes of their time or 30 minutes of their time because they watched you make it and they come in having already played with it. And what you're doing in the room is actually the human thing, which is facilitating the conversation about how it went instead of just making every student sit there and watch you do it and then try it themselves in real time when they could do that on their own time as they need it.
Yeah. Well, again, one thing that makes it a little bit different for me too is making sure that they have access to those types of materials. Which so that would definitely work for a lot of things. Though, if we did every once in a while we use some traditional sketching or just a pencil drawings or something like that, and that'd be nice to actually have them do it first. Then they bring, because a lot of time we use the whole class time. We do the sketch, we do the illustration, and then we look at what we can do to improve it. If they do it first and then bring it in, we can see, see this, I'll show you how we can improve this, and this with these special techniques. And then we do it again in class, and then they're actually able to implement exactly where they had the most trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm scrolling through it now because I'm trying to find one of the videos that you made that I can put up on the screen in a second here. So bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. Oh, Memphis Mike says, thanks, gang. Got a split. Enjoyed, Mike. Always good to see you. Thanks for popping in. We're going to hang out for about another 8-9 minutes.
I can keep talking for a moment because especially...
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. What I was going to say is one thing that's interesting to me is that... is about what faculty development is going to look like, in the future for teachers. Because, I think my guess is to start off like 40% of it now is all going to be on digital instruction and how to create that type of content for students, which if we said this last September, people would think it was crazy to do something like that. Whereas right now, I think it'd be crazy not to, because right now we were in a position where this was thrown at us and no one was ready or prepared for it. So if we God forbid, if this happens again in the future, it'd be shame on us for not being prepared. Like, this already happened once. We have to majorly take advantage of this curveball we were thrown and use it as a learning opportunity, especially because, and here's what one person told me. They said, well, I hope they don't do that because the chances of this happening again are probably pretty low. But like I said, first of all, you can't rely on that. And secondly, even if this doesn't happen again, the skills you'd learn in being able to teach like that would transfer to traditional teaching, as well as use it as supplementary content for your own classroom. Because for example, if I'm going to do a drawing lesson, and maybe let's say if it was the upper grades and it's a really long drawing demonstration that maybe would have taken half the class before, now I can do that before class and maybe time lapse parts of it. Okay, that there's really no need for that, and then use that video instruction during class so we can get straight to the hands-on material and not waste any of the students' time, their teacher interaction time.
You had two really good points there, Adam. The first was something I was going to mention, how you can save so much time. So my husband teaches labs at a university here, and we've been making videos, and so we took a 2-hour lab, which of course is better to do hands-on. A 2-hour lab he made into a 4-minute video.
Yeah.
The benefit of that we're seeing too is so that the students can pay attention to that, A, but B, when they go back and they do it, unless they do it incorrectly, they can see how it should have been done. Or it's just like watching it again and seeing it again is never a bad thing. Like, reinforcing your learning is never bad. And then doing it in a way that's so short, like, there's such a benefit there. And then we can use that for years and years to come. 'Cause it's a science lab. It's not really going to change.
Absolutely. One thing that I even did too, and this kind of ties back into what we were talking about in the beginning about having that personal connection with your students, the ones that are available. And also, like that one comment said, that 20% participation rate. So what I did was I did a live video, a live art lesson with my students. And there was honestly probably only 3 or 4 kids in there, even though I scheduled the time, I let them know the day before. There's only a couple kids in there. So it was probably about a 25-minute video lesson that I did. And it was great for those kids. They got to interact with me. They got to see their teacher live. I got to say hello. But what I did afterward was I took that live stream and edited it down into like an 8-minute tutorial. Just like I'm saying, I time-lapsed some parts where I was just working. So those kids that were watching it live got a more authentic experience. But now if kids watch it and rewatch, they have an 8-minute tutorial version where they're not just like twiddling their thumbs because they know they can't interact with me. So it's got to live on. Yeah, this is one of my first ones that I did.
I finally found it. Sorry, Adam, I couldn't even find it on. You post so much on Facebook. I literally couldn't find it. I was scrolling in the deep. So okay, this is a video that you did at the beginning of this whole thing, showing people how their kids doing an art lesson for kids stuck at home with parents, where they could create art, and you deliberately wanted it to be a project that they didn't have to have anything. You didn't even assume they would have colored pencils or even paper, because you said yourself, you're like, I don't even know if I have paper.
I'm a teacher, I don't have paper.
Yeah. And so everybody watch this, and then we'll come back for a minute or two to wrap up this whole thing. I'm going to close it out about 3 o'clock here Eastern at the hour. So check this out, and then we'll come back. Kelsey, hang for a second. Thank you.
Welcome back to Mr. Krutinger's art class. Today we're going to make a piece of art, but don't worry about not having the supplies. We're not going to be using paint and markers and paper. We're going to use items from around the house. And today we're going to be using laundry. Now there's 2 ways to do this. You can have an idea in your head of what you want to make. Maybe you want to make a dog or a cat. Or you can look at the clothes that you have, look at the colors and shapes, and think about the best kind of design you can make. I'm feeling inspired by some of the colors and shapes that I see, so I'm going to make one right now, and let's see if you can guess what it is. Follow along. Make sure you use clean laundry too. Done, take a picture of it with an iPad or cell phone. Now post it in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys come up with. And there it is. It's simple but effective. I cannot wait to see what you guys come up with. But now what I'm going to do is try to animate it too. We're going to send Winnie the Pooh for a little boat ride. Here we go.
Oh, bother.
I hope you guys enjoy this fun little project. I know a lot of people don't have paint.
So, yeah, so Kelsey, I figure you probably hadn't seen that.
I hadn't. That's awesome. I love the sound effects. That was great.
And Adam's been doing little videos.
Though, that was 100% filmed and edited on my cell phone. So you don't need fancy equipment to do it. The ones I'm doing now, I decided to use my camera and make them a little bit sharper. But that first one, which actually had the better response to any video I've even done since then, was completely filmed and edited on my phone.
Didn't George Takei share that one?
Yeah, he shared it on Twitter. Yeah, they did.
What?
Edit. They included a lot of the kids' artwork that they submitted as well.
Yeah, like 10, 20 million views or something stupid, right? I mean, it was just it went insane. Yeah, it was fantastic. So so anyway, yeah, we got a couple of comments to close things out here. how people that made art, culture, like street art, people from circus can make. How can, oh, right. Okay, this is a great, Adam, you and I need to deal with this in maybe one of our podcast episodes that we do every Monday on YouTube, which is On to the Next Project. I'm just going to toss this back up there. So Adam and I have a conversation about life, art, and business every Monday on a channel that we do not promote, which is why we have less subscribers than you do, Kelsey, on that channel. But the people who are paying attention to that know that it's worth it. That would be a great topic. And let's see, who else? Stu wants a tutorial on live streaming software. I probably should make a tutorial on how to do all this. And I'm not using Ecamm Live, but a lot of people love that. And then somebody else here, Alexander again, said OBS, which I've used for ages. I just chose to use a slightly sleeker software for what I'm doing now because you have to pay for this. This is not a cheap software I'm using right now, but it's eliminating for me with how much I need to do this now. It's worth every penny. It's StreamYard for those who are curious, but I'll talk about that on the YouTube channel. And anyway, this was great, Adam. I'm so thrilled you were available. Fred is finally so bored she fell asleep.
She's zonked out.
She's zonked out. That's Kelsey. Meet Winifred.
Winifred. Oh.
And
old is she?
yeah.
Oh, she is. She's almost 9 months. She's just
When
a
did-
little one.
I met her when she was what, 18 days old or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, she was super, super tiny.
Yeah, there's a photo of me holding, and I had never in my life held a baby. I'm that guy that's always managed to just avoid it at every party, right? And they're just like, do you want to, I'm actually getting a drink right now. I've always been that guy, and I'm at Adams, I'm visiting. I drove to Buffalo pretty much, I mean, I had a gig somewhere in the area, but I went just to see the baby for like 6 hours. I just stopped off at Adams, and he was like, you want to hold? I said, no. I don't do that. I just want to meet. And at some point, literally, he goes, actually, I got to run to the bathroom here. There was no warning. And he clearly wasn't waiting for me to make sure I had her. He just shoved her into my arms. And like you said, Adam, instinct just kicks in. You're like,
Yeah. No, it's one of my favorite things. Is she was a lot of people's first time holding a baby, and I love that too because I think it's important. Everyone's got to learn how. And actually, you said it was your first time. It'll be very clear and evident from anyone who sees the picture that it was your first time.
That's so funny.
Arm holding.
Oh my God, I wonder, I wish I could quickly grab that photo and throw it out here, but I'll do it some other time. Anyway, Adam, Kelsey, this was great. Maybe sometime the three of us, because actually we have a lot of overlapping stuff. We can all do this, plan it out. I'm thrilled you were available, both of you. And thanks to everyone who watched. And have a good day. Stay safe, stay healthy. Adam, on to the next project.
On to the next project. Bye.
Bye. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate that you were able to hang out for a while. For anybody who's left watching this or decides to watch this on the replay later, I have... Where is it here? A couple of things. So, of course, you can always join the community at humanconnection.blog. Toss your email in, get weekly insights and stories about human connection, and a lot lately about adaptability and resilience and pivoting in business and in life. So you can always do that. And, of course, I have a couple of seats left in the Leadership Mastermind 2020. This is an intense 3-month program with just 4 to 6 really, really smart, powerful, interesting go-getters who just want to learn right now in the midst of everything going on how to double down on their business, on their passion, on what they're doing, and really level up and become the go-to person for clients and customers and even friends and family, community, your team, your organization, your bosses, your employees. And so I'm curating this group. There's no you can't just pay and sign up. Everybody has to do a discovery call with me. You have to basically plead your case. I'm going to talk to you and just figure out if you are the right person for this group, because I'm only letting people into this that are really exceptional and giving and able to not just get value, of course, from it, but give a tremendous amount of value. So it's 3 months. 2 group sessions per month. Each group session's an hour. We meet privately in a group session over video conferencing twice a month. So 6 group sessions total, 1 private one-on-one with me each month. So you get an hour with me on a one-on-one each month to work out really specific obstacles that you're dealing with, and access to all the recordings, of course, from all the group sessions and all the one-on-one sessions. I've got a couple of folks already in. I got one person who's already in. I've accepted them in. 2 more people that I expect to be coming into this group in the next couple of days, and I've only got a few more slots available. And when I believe I have the right group, if I get to 4 people and I think, you know what, this 4 people, this is it, these are the people I want, I'm just going to close it. I'm under no obligation to keep it open for 6 or 8 people. I'm just willing to go up to that amount if I find the right people. So head to brianmillerspeaks.com/public-leadership-mastermind, or just go to what's on the screen, tinyurl.com/the-leadership-mastermind. That'll take you to the correct page so you can schedule a one-on-one call with me, and we can talk about whether you're a good fit for this program at this moment. I can't wait to see what you do. I'd love to see you there. I'd love to have a conversation with you, even if you're not the right fit for this program, just to get to know you. So by all means, jump in on that if you want, because as we know, all of us are smarter than any of us. That said, my name is Brian Miller. Thanks so much for hanging with me for the last hour, and always remember, our world is a shared experience. Every interaction is meaningful, and every person you meet, even virtually, is important. We'll see you soon.